Very much. Welcome everybody to the July meeting of the Narrow Court Lucindale Council, where we acknowledge and respect our complex history and we welcome everyone to build our future together. You are being live streamed. A bit shiny. Please note this meeting is being live streamed, recorded and published in accordance with the Council's live streaming and recording of public meeting policy. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image and comments will form part of the live streaming and recording. And just for your information there in the public gallery, I think you're most probably out of screenshot most of the time, so you're most probably going okay. But just let me remind you, you're here to observe the meeting and I hope you enjoy it. Item 2, elected members' declaration of interest. And I don't believe I have any. Item 3 is a public forum. I haven't been approached by anyone to raise any issues. Item 4 is petitions and deputations. We haven't received any. Item 5 is the confirmation of the council minutes. Would somebody care to move that the minutes of the June meeting be confirmed as a good record? Thank you, Councillor Dennis, and seconded Councillor Grundy. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. At this point, I'd ask leave of the meeting to bring the only motion on notice forward, and if with approval of the chamber, nodding will be fine. Thank you very much. So item, I'm sure Kelly will help me here. Oh, there we are. Thank you. So we have, there we go. So we have a motion that has been proposed by Councillor Crosling. Councillor Crosling, do you wish to stand and move the motion?
I'd love to move my motion as written. I just want to also just premise this with a content warning that this discusses pregnancy loss, newborn and child loss and suicide, and some viewers live and in the chamber may find this distressing. I want to acknowledge that grief has no age limit and that this motion isn't about valuing one life or one kind of grief over another. It's about starting somewhere. It's about a small, compassionate, practical gesture that this council can realistically support today. My motion proposes that we waive all cemetery fees for stillborn babies and children up to the age of 10, excluding plaque costs. I want to be very clear, this is not about money. I've never argued for or against the idea based on cost. I only reference a small financial impact as an average of around $330 a year over the past 15 years to show that this is well within our means. If anything, I believe the community would prefer we ask harder questions about other spending rather than resisting a motion like this. As one community member wrote to us all, this is not a financially reckless proposal, it's a human one. It's about dignity, it's about empathy, and it's about doing what we can as a council to ease one burden for one family, for families during the unimaginable loss of a child. At 8 weeks, I was told that my baby no longer had a heartbeat, and I consider myself fortunate that I didn't carry that child to term and have to give birth to it and plan a burial. I cannot begin to imagine how families walk through pain, but I do believe we can stand beside them. Some may not be aware, but this exact motion was passed by Berry-Barmera Council and then followed by Robe, Salisbury, Gawler and Loxton-Waikerie. It aligns with a recommendation from the Stillbirth Committee in Select Committee into Stillbirth in South Australia. The committee heard that burial costs for infants and children have been a real burden on grieving families in the past, and as a result have written to councils across SA that operate their own cemeteries and encouraging them to consider policy change in this space. So we are not alone in considering this. We're being asked to show leadership. Some have asked why stop at 10, and I originally wanted to propose my motion to 15 in line with what Wattle Range Funerals offers. In fact, I'd support going to 18, the age a child legally becomes an adult. But I'm aware of discussions in this chamber and I've compromised, not because I believe 11 to 18-year-olds are less deserving, but because I believe doing something is better than doing nothing. And if the sentiment in this chamber is to increase the age, I would have no issue amending my motion to reflect that. To better understand public sentiment and ensure their voices were heard, I asked the community to sign a petition. Close to 700 individuals signed to support. To maintain transparency, approximately 115 of those signatories reside outside our council area, many ex-residents, which means around 570 of those are residents and ratepayers of the Narracall-Leesondale Council. Given a strong and clear support from our community, I hope we as elected members can act in their best interests and move forward with this motion. These residents have taken the time to engage with us and express their views, and I believe it's important we acknowledge and respect that. I've also heard concerns that the motion sends a message that some grief matters more than others, for example, grief after suicide or grief of veterans. Let me be clear, this is not what this motion does. I would never rank one kind of grief over another. I'm open and willing to be part of a broader discussion about how we support all families in times of loss. Showing empathy in one area does not diminish the need for it in another. I also want to acknowledge the powerful email we received from a former resident and ratepayer who shared a story of losing her newborn son in 2000. She describes unbearable grief of watching her baby die in her arms and how the kindness of the community, including waiving of cemetery fees, that helped her family feel held and supported. This gesture, she said, still matters 25 years later. Her words reminded me that what we can do in this may seem like a small policy, but has a lifelong impact for others. Some counsellors have argued the existing financial supports that exist, like stillborn baby payment, make this motion unnecessary. But these payments are limited, conditional, and don't apply to children who die beyond the perinatal stage. And beyond that, it is not just about dollars. It is about removing one layer of bureaucracy and one moment of stress from parents already shuttered by grief. Others have suggested that families should simply apply for fee waivers through hardship. I ask, is that fair and compassionate to expect someone to prove their finances, complete paperwork while planning their child's funeral? That's cruelty dressed as process. In closing, I hear we all talk to people in the community, but I want to thank every single person who took the time to put their voice behind the nearly 700 of you that signed my petition, and also the letters from community members we have received. I thank all of you. And as one of them said, if the council has the means to offer this support, then I urge you to do so, not only because it is easy, because it is right. It is my sincere hope that this policy is rarely, if ever, needed, because no parent should have to face the loss of a child. Simply put, this motion sends a clear message that we care, we're willing to act with compassion when it is needed most. I hope we can pass this tonight, not for politics or precedent, but for the parents who may one day tragically need to know the community stood beside them in their darkest hour. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Do I have a second? Councillor Maguire, do you wish to speak? Councillor Maguire.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to say thank you to Councillor Crosling on amazing leadership on this, and I just hope the Chamber will support it.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Following the May Council meeting, where this motion was first put, the Council has had the opportunity to listen to its community, and following an invitation from Councillor Goodman, had a briefing from Olivia Savas, Chair of the Committee into Stillborn here in South Australia. I have had emails and met in person with members of our community over this motion. I agree there are two sides to this motion. My belief is that we distill the question down to its simplest form. Does it pass the pub test to waive all burial fees in relation to stillbirths and young children? I believe it does. Death and dying are real. Grief and grieving are part of the process. As difficult as it may seem, we all go through this process at some time. Yes, there are funding sources available to some, not all, from various government authorities. This is not about money. It's about something we as a council can do to wrap our arms collectively around a family during their grief. The question for this chamber now centres around the age with which we wish to waive fees. The schedule fee structure to date is a 50% discount up to the age of 2. The motion before you is up to the age 10. I have had discussion with community members that have suggested all the way to 18. The answer lies somewhere within the spread. There is no wrong or right answer to the age, as we have seen by the response from councils around the state. This has been a difficult subject for some. I'm certain we in this chamber this evening will do what is best in relation to the motion before you. We are not obliged to do anything at all. Over the last month, the community in general believes there needs to be sympathy shown by this chamber in relation to the waiver of fees. I welcome any further discussion. Councillor Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I speak tonight with humility in regard to the previous decision of one of those who voted in favour not to waive the burial fees for stillborn babies and children up to the age of 10. That decision, upon reflection, was a mistake. At the time, the motion may have been viewed through the lens of policy consistency or financial discipline. But since then, we've listened and truly listened to the stories of families who have faced the unimaginable loss of a child. Their words have stayed with us. Their courage has reshaped our understanding of what this motion truly represents. This is not about costs. This is about compassion. It is about dignity. And it is about ensuring that in their most painful moments, families are met with kindness and not bureaucracy. While only a small number of families are affected by this each year, for them this gesture means everything. It sends a message that their grief is seen and the lives of their children, however brief, are honoured. As this motion comes before us again, I'll be voting in favour of it. I've reflected and I believe compassion must guide our decision in this case.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Goodman.
Good evening, fellow councillor, staff and the public. I normally speak to dot points, but I will read my speech this evening. When I stood to speak on this motion at our May Council meeting, I did so with a heavy heart and a conflicted mind. The question before us was not just about procedure, it was about people, about families and about grief. I said then that I was torn and I meant it. And since then, I've worked constructively and collaboratively where I can to find a way forward for this council and the community. I've done some deep reflection, I've taken the learnings and I've listened to the community feedback. I want to thank our CEO and Mayor for working alongside me to help bring greater understanding to the issue. Together, we invited Olivia Savas, MP, Chair of the State Select Committee into Stillbirth, to address Council at a briefing session. Her insights were thoughtful and sincere, and they highlighted the heartbreaking and humbling realities that families face when impacted by stillbirth. There is no uniform answer to this, no right or wrong here, but there is strength in informed, values-based decision-making and leading with compassion and integrity. In most decisions that come before this chamber, the community expects elected members to approach matters through the lens of governance, policy and procedure. They expect rigour, they expect precedent, they expect us to weigh costs, consult frameworks and often to deliberately remove emotion from the equation. This was my original approach and it is a key strength of this chamber. But tonight I want to say that this issue is an exception. Losing a child is unlike any other experience. It's not political, it's not administrative, it's personal, profound, life-altering. As I referenced in my letter to the editor published in the Naracoorte News, my own family has felt the devastation of stillbirth and I know we're not alone. I know that for some, listening to the discussion of this topic at the May Council meeting was upsetting and hurtful, and I'm sincerely sorry that it impacted you that way. When families face the heartbreak of the loss of a child, I understand the importance of having the quiet reassurance that your community stands with you and the acknowledgement of that loss. Quietly and without fanfare, our council has been supporting grieving families for many years. Our current policy already waives 50% of the burial fee for children aged 2 and under, and because it's the right thing to do and because it reflects the compassion we feel for our community. I want to thank those in our community who've contacted counsellors, who shared their stories, offered reflections, and brought this issue into sharper focus. I've had conversations in the street, at social gatherings, at sport on the weekend. I've received letters and emails, I've taken phone calls from people representing both sides of this debate. Your voices have been essential. I want to acknowledge the courage required to navigate these hard conversations. I hope you see that we've truly listened and that the outcome honours everyone's position. So I've listened, reflected and learned, and tonight I'll be supporting the motion to waive burial fees for children up to the age of 10. If adopted, this decision will reaffirm what I believe our council stands for, which is quiet strength, practical kindness, humble leadership and genuine commitment to serving our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goodman. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Ross.
Thank you for the very well written presentation, Councillor Crosland. That's good. I probably wrote this thinking that we still might have had to fight today. So
You don't have to proceed if you don't wish to, Councillor Ross.
But I think there's some good learnings that we can get out of this, so I'll continue on with it. My position in support of this motion hasn't changed. Thank you, Councillor Crosland, for putting this motion back up for consideration. You've done an amazing job in confirming the overwhelming community support through your survey and social media posts. The community has well and truly spoken. Mon, I'm proud of you, and you are awesome, honestly. This whole unnecessary drawn-out process has been the most mentally draining decision of my 15 years on being on council. I felt physically sick when the motion was originally voted down, and the continued justification discussed in subsequent conversations and meetings. The adverse emotional impact on the original decision has been profound, and not just within our community, but out in other communities as well. Like I encountered it in a conference in Adelaide, had people come up to me and they saw that they recognised my name and they knew I was from Narracourt, and they even commented about it. So that caught me off guard a bit. That just showed you how far it was. As elected members, we are voted in by our community. When making decisions, we'd be guided by our influence of our family, our friends, our acquaintances, and our principles. However, we must make the conscious effort of stepping outside that circle of influence and principles to put ourselves in someone else's position to understand the impacts of our decisions. Compassion and empathy should be evident in our council decision processes. While unintentional, I don't think this happened. Yeah, but it was unintentional, I think, with some not understanding. This motion shouldn't be muddied by financial impacts or to our budget, as there is next to none. Or the ranking of grief. It's about our community supporting families in times of unimaginable grief. It's what good communities do, and we are a good community. So thank you for all the letters and the emails and discussions that have occurred outside the chamber. This motion is a yes all day long. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Is there any further discussion? There being none, I'd like to just thank you all for your emotional intelligence over the last month. I think it's been very good. And with no further ado, I shall put the motion that the council waive all cemetery fees in relation to stillborn babies and children up to the age of 10, with the exception of the costs associated with plaques. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much.
Mayor Ross, can I say something really quickly? No? Yes? No?
Briefly.
Just standing to say thank you to everyone who's taken the time to engage and come on tonight. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I move to the next agenda item, item 6. And please stay tuned down there in the public gallery. It's a fascinating it's a fascinating insight to how it works. so please stay on. Item 6 is matters laid on mass exodus. Thank you. Okay, I'll give you a minute to leave if you wish. Thank you. Item 6, matters laid on the table from previous meetings. There aren't any. Item 7 is my report, which I'm happy to move. And I seek a seconder. Councillor Dennis, thank you very much. I'm happy to take any questions at any time. I'll actually add that on Friday, Councillor Turner and myself attended the Droughtbreaker lunch in Adelaide, which was attended by over 580 people. We were the guests of T's company, which was fantastic to be with them at a table. That was really important. The other notable thing was that I had the opportunity to meet with Alex Zimmerman, who is the drought coordinator appointed by the Premier, and he will be coming to the southeast in the very near future, and I will meet with him then. Item 8, elected members. Oh, I missed something. A seconder, of course. I'd like to vote on it.
We've got a seconder.
Have you got was that a question, Councillor?
No, sorry, I thought
you would
were
like to
asking for
carry it for
No,
me?
I'm just voting for you.
All those in favour? I apologise. Thank you. Thank you very much. Elected members report. We have a written report from Council Ireland. Councillor Ireland, would you just like to say how well it went last Friday night?
Oh, thank you, Mayor Ross. We ended up with, now this wasn't a paid event, it was completely free for everybody to attend. And we're looking at, well, we believe we had about 95 people plus kids attend this function. And we're very lucky with weather, mind you, but it went off really, really well. There's nothing but congratulations came from the public for being able to bring everybody together for the night. If I can just add, PIRSA, I can't believe we only had a fortnight before when we applied for the grant. This was helped out by PIRSA grant, and within a week they'd actually confirmed this grant was successful, which was really absolutely fantastic. So I've got to give my compliments to the PIRSA team for rushing that through. That's all positives from the evening. It's fantastic. The only thing I can add is that it wasn't just local people from Loch Harbour in the Loch Harbour Hall. It was great to have people from Western Flat within a 50k radius, even greater than that actually, attend. So it was just great to bring that farming community and businesses involved in primary production or in agriculture. Being a service town, it was just fantastic because we know how businesses have suffered in Narracorde as well and the surrounding towns. So we had some people from there attend as well. So it was absolutely, I was wrapped. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ireland, for doing that. And I think it's important for those of us here, you know, there will be an ongoing requirement over time to have more of these. Farmers aren't out of the woods and businesses aren't out of the woods by a very long shot. So thank you. Councillor Grundy?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Ross. I won't take up too much of your time. Well done to Councillor Ireland for this initiative. Everyone's busy. Seasonally, we're all busy at the moment, and Councillor Ireland has found enough time to organise this, which doesn't just happen on its own. So well done. It was attended by those from far and wide, and it was well appreciated. So well done, Councillor Ireland.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. Councillor Crosling?
I just forgot to put in my report that Councillor Turner and myself actually attended the Narracorde Business Association AGM last Wednesday night. Sadly, that association has gone into recess for the foreseeable future, 6-12 months maybe. The Business Association was the Narracorde Lucindale Business and Tourism Association originally, so it has been around for a very long time. So yeah, we probably just need to get out to the community, especially in business. The Tatiara do it really well with their business association. We need to try and get some new blood onto that committee and drive it, because it is it's a really important committee to have for our community. And I just wanted to remind everyone here and who's watching online that we have the Narra Court High School Community Forum tomorrow night at 6:30. I think this is a fabulous initiative by the principal, Kieran Hicks, and all his staff. It's about, shaping the direction of where they want the high school to what they want the high school to look like, what they want to see. This is about engaging with whether you've got a kid there or not. This is our one and only public high school. So I would hope that anyone can get along tomorrow and anyone can come along at 6:30 up at the school. And I think it would be, a really good event for people to attend if you want to have a say on how our public high schools...
Thank you, Councillor Crosling. Before you sit down, do you think that the Business Association will be able to reimagine itself in some way, following the AGM? Was there some notion that it would be able to reimagine itself?
I hope so. Look, a couple of years ago, it was on the cusp of doing the exact same thing, going into recess. At that point in time, Brett Rumble, who owned Sweet Espresso, jumped on to fill that chair position because it looked like nobody was going to take up that top job, and kind of got it going again. We've got a lot of funding with the strategic plan, but it's again one of those things that falls to business owners, and business owners are busy and they're volunteering their time to obviously be a part of that. So maybe a little bit of investigation needs to be done on what it can look like, whether it goes back to a Chamber of Commerce, whether it's something that can be auspiced by the council. I think it's a lot of there's work that can be done there, and it just needs that driver. And again, if you've got all the committee members are people who own businesses, they're busy. It kind of all fell back on their shoulders.
Hopefully there's a model that they'll be able to pick up. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Crosling.
Yeah, Ross, I could add something, I guess, if that's okay, from a perspective. I mean, one of the challenges the organisation has had, it's got an old constitution that requires it to have a certain size committee, and they had a new constitution written up that needed, 75% of members' votes to change, and that would have allowed the committee to be smaller, to maybe meet less frequently. So I think it needs to both reimagine itself, but maybe reinvent itself as well. So I think it's very healthy to have a full stop and then begin a new sentence. And I think that will allow the committee to, both reimagine but also reinvent itself. The Tatiara Association to me seems much more larger organisations that larger businesses rather than small little retail shops, from my understanding. I'm not proposing that's what it needs either, but there'll be an opportunity for people to think about what it does require, and it's a balance between the old Chamber of Commerce and what it merged into, but there's certainly some hope there.
Do you want to make some comment, Councillor Dalwood?
Yes, Mr Mayor, I just wanted to report that the HACS meeting last night, the Health Advisory Council met, and a few months ago the health group travelled through the southeast, consulting with community with view to what was required or what's happening. So next Wednesday they're going to be in the town hall presenting the outcomes from that. It's from 2:30 till 4, I think, from that one. And then also in October there'll be community meetings for transition to aged care, and there'll be more coming forward from that. But that is mid-October, and that's aiming at people that have got elderly parents or whatever that are transitioning, or for those people that are in that position to find out what's available to them, refinance and all things available. So watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dalwood. Item 9.
Thank you, Mayor. Pretty straightforward report. This is mostly for information. You will see, though, there is a recommendation to approve the Limestone Coast LGA annual plan for the year. You'll note it's a very pared-back plan. It just focuses on that advocacy that Charlotte spoke to you about earlier. So that's really the only recommendation for action.
Very good. Are there any questions of the CEO? No. In that case, the recommendation to receive the CEO report for July. Councillor Goodman, Councillor Turner. All those in favour? Thank you. We have a recommendation, please. The council approved the Limestone Coast LGA Annual Business Plan 25-6. Would someone like to move to that effect? Councillor Downwood, thank you. Councillor Turner. All those in favour? I just bring to your attention that our financial responsibility with LGA's been reduced by some $77,000, and at the end of last financial year, the LCLGA had a budget of 1.4. This year it's 290,000. So, there's been an enormous amount of work done in that space to change the model from having many projects to having the person that we had sitting in this chair half an hour ago. So it's something that we, the chambers and also the mayors, are looking forward to. We have a recommendation that we receive notes from the LGA Board Ordinary Meeting and Special Meeting of June, along with correspondence from the Honourable Joe Sockhart in regard to the Wattle Range Council withdrawal from the Limestone Coast LGA. Councillor Crosling, mover, seconded Councillor Goodman. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Carried. 9.2.
Thank you, Mayor. So there's a lot of information in this report. It hopefully addresses the questions from Councillor Maguire, but also the motion from Councillor Ireland. I think it's probably best if we open it up to questions because I don't really know what to focus on. So happy to take questions, and there's a few other staff members who can help with this as well, if there's anything you want to discuss.
Are you, Councillor, there we go, Councillor Grundy.
I just had some observations and some questions. Thank you for the very comprehensive report, Kelly. How many of these tasks are tendered out? There's some pretty sizable amounts there that we're talking about, and just an open question, should any consultancy task with an expected cost of more than $10,000 be tendered as a matter of course? It may be that that's already the case, I don't know. And has there been a case of engaging consultants too early, possibly, taking on, the scope, 3 scopes on a proposed project when maybe we need to be better understanding broadly what is the appetite of councillors before we engage these consultants, and whether the project's in fact going to fly.
I don't have the procurement policy in front of me, and I'm used to my old procurement policy, but there is a band of financial, delegation where we go into tendering processes. I think it is at 75.
Anywhere from ordinarily $10,000 up can be the option. And I can say yes, that every significant engagement of a consultant requires a report back to council and a tender process and an endorsement by council to select the particular consultant. So those that you've seen that are listed have likely happened over the years prior to this council, as well as some of them currently.
Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. Councillor Maguire.
Thank you. Thank you for the figures, CEO. I'd just like to acknowledge that the figure probably is a headline of $1.3 million, and it is quite a substantial amount. As an elected member, I probably want to take ownership of that amount. I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, that nearly all of that money has been direction from this elected body in one way or another. So it is no reflection on the staff going to consultants when they don't need to go to consultants. So I guess I'm taking ownership of this spend.
All decisions of the council, all decisions about expenditure of money are ours.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire.
Probably the question Councillor Ireland asked and the question I asked, I can see where Councillor Ireland is coming with his, and I respect your question. I'm coming at it from probably a different angle, where you're probably looking at it, which I'll let you speak to, I won't steal your thunder. I guess I'm looking at it, there is a large portion of that spend which has been strategic plans, and master plans that we have been to the public with many times. So there is hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've been to consultation. I know I brought this up on a few occasions, but what I was trying to highlight with my question is how much as a council that this elected body has directed the council to spend on consultants with public consultation and master plans. I'm highlighting this because I see people in the community wanting a balanced spend on our infrastructure, and I'm highlighting it because this report lets the community know again, and the chamber, that we actually have asked the community what they want. We've also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on these plans to put in place what the community have asked us to do. So now, as an elected body, our challenge is to try to get some of these into the budget, because otherwise all that time and ratepayers' money has been for nothing. So that was the reason why I asked for the figures, and thank you for providing them.
So you're happy with the answers?
Yep, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Maguire. Anything else?
Well, thank you, Mayor Ross. I probably should say to Admin Kelly, thank you very much for this report. It's fantastic. It's something I think we need to look at going forward, not necessarily to be addressing tonight and trying to come to some sort of resolution on the spur of the moment. They're figures that we just need to work with. Our master plans are things that a lot of those we came from with the previous term in council, and we've been trying to work with those. We've got things that we just couldn't afford in our budget. And that's why a lot of these consultancy and a lot of this engineering is behind us. So we've got to move forward for that and work out the direction we want to take as a council, perhaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ireland. And yes, it was a concern of mine around this, and the report is, conclusive. And I think it's important that that the public can see that too. So, and it's what we do. So thank you very much. Would someone like to move that council receives and notes? Councillor Maguire, Councillor Ireland, seconds. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 10, key projects. Mr. Willsmore.
Thank you. Just wanted to bring to members' attention the NRLE sheep EID infrastructure installations. So just wanted to acknowledge all users of the facilities, so buyers, sellers, agency staff and the like, for their assistance while I've been doing this stage rollout of works. So scanners are up and operational. Earlier this month we received just shy of 500,000 from PIRSA as part of the rebate, so we continue to work with them as these works are finalised and claimed. So I just want to acknowledge the users of the facility for their patience.
Thank you, Mr. Willsmore. And they work seamlessly today with 6,000 or 7,000 sheep?
Yes, yeah, they work, so the ones with tags were scanned and processed.
Not everything has to be tagged yet. Are there any questions of Mr. Willsmore? Being none. Item 11, finance report. Mrs. Edmonds.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Nothing further to add other than it's our quarterly report. I did provide a bit of extra context around rate arrears in as far as the breakdown of the categories. Happy to take any questions, provide updates.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Edmonds. And I noted last week that we continue to have a rise of over 4% per annum on unpaid rates. I'm not quite sure what that means, whether that's just what we can expect. At the end of the year, what do we end up getting back out of the situation we have at the moment? Or is it an ongoing on a month by month and continues to go up, and there are some that pay back? Is that how it generally works?
So in terms of, it's probably a harder one to predict or be able to bring a pattern towards. It is an ongoing. I will report on a quarter by quarter comparison just to sort of be able to identify any trends. I guess at the end of the day, we address debt collection on a regular basis. So it's a bit of a inflow, outflow type scenario. So it is a hard one to sort of put trends towards or anything like that. But I guess we can perhaps monitor it a bit closer and try and see if there are any.
One final question, if I may. Have you had any inquiry from people within our community looking for help with their rates in the last month or two?
Yeah, so since you've put forward the recommendation to provide assistance and rate postponement relief, we've had one inquiry just this week. So we do expect a bit more. We're in the stages of developing a process in terms of how we address it. In the first instance, we ask that the ratepayer make contact and then put forward a proposal, and then we'll discuss from there. So always reiterating that we need help in these times.
And I suppose finally, if I may, when the next rate notice goes out, which will be...
Yes, so it's been sent to our printers for distribution. It also goes, inside will be the annual insert, which also has a reminder about the opportunity for rates postponement if there are financial troubles.
Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds.
No worries.
Excellent. Any other questions? Thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. Very good. Item 11. Sorry, item 11.2.
So as councillors are aware, at this time of year, we just look for the carryovers into this financial year from the previous. As you can see, we have a few income lines, all three of those being grant funds that were unspent from the previous financial year, and then the expenses being a couple of projects that weren't completed. So all up, we're looking to carry forward $429,000 into this financial year. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions in regard to the carryover? Councillor?
The motion is written.
Councillor Dennis would move the motion. Councillor Ross would second. Any further discussion? I put the council endorses to carry forward operational capital income of 411,984 and expenditure of 841,699 from 24/5 into the 25/6 financial year. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 12. Minutes and recommendations from council committees, there being none. Item 13, reports for decision. 13.1, the resolution register.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. This is just our latest monthly report that we started providing earlier in the year for your information.
Mrs. Collins, and so when something completed, we won't see that next month?
Correct.
Lovely.
No.
Would someone like to move that the resolution table is up to date? Councillor Turner. Councillor Goodman. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 13.2, review of confidential items.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. This happens every 12 months under legislation. Any confidential order that has been in place for more than 12 months has to be reviewed. As you can see from the recommendation, we've got just 4 items that need to remain in confidence for the next 12 months as they relate to legal matters. So I commend the recommendation to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins, and I understand that this council stands high when it comes to removing things from the confidential register. Only having 4 items, I would say, would be 100% of in the state, I'd suggest. So would someone like to move that recommendation? Councillor? No, are we going into confidence?
No, through you, Mayor. Each of these has to be moved and seconded and carried independently. Each has its own minute attached to it.
Very good. Thank you. So 1, 2 and 3 are each.
One over the page.
Cool. Right.
Sorry, you have to have a mover, seconded.
I'd like to move item 1.
I'll second item 1.
Councillor Dennis, I can count 2, but thank you for your assistance.
Read them out too.
Sorry, I was trying to help you there.
Yes, well, I'm sure it's okay. There's a lot going on in there. Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Would someone like to second that? Item 1.
Item 1, I'm happy to second item 1.
Thank you, Councillor Downwood. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. That'll be item 2.
To move item 2.
Councillor Dennis and Councillor Crosling. And it has to do with... No, that's okay. I was just checking for you, Councillor Dennis. All those in favour of item 2, thank you. Remaining. Item 3.
I'll move item 3.
Councillor Goodman, thank you very much for stepping up to the plate. And Councillor Crosling for seconding. All those in favour of that remaining? Carried, thank you very much. And item 4. Councillor Crosling, thank you very much for moving that item 4 remaining confidence, and Councillor Ross for seconding it. All those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Dennis, for helping me with that. Item 13.3, to Garris Place, former library.
Mr McCroskey's done the heavy lifting on this
Mr
one,
McCroskey's done the heavy lifting. Thank you, Mr McCroskey.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. The report hopefully paints a pretty good picture of where we've come from and where we've got to today. It'll be great to get some clarity. As we know, this has been bandied around the chamber for quite some years. As of next year, the old library or former library will be vacant for now 10 years. Happy to provide further comments or questions in regards to my report, however.
Thank you, Mr McCroskey. I find it fascinating that this topic has been bandied around this chamber, and it has, because it's been on the boil for 10 years. So it certainly has, and not everyone in this chamber this evening has been the beneficiary of that hot potato being the old library. So, as you can see, Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I'd like to move an alternate motion to what's written, please. In anticipation of what it might be, can I pass this on to Yana, please? Thank you, Kelly and Mr McCroskey, for your report. I wish to move an alternate motion to that which appears on the agenda. I wish to move that the Council authorises the CEO to undertake the demolition of the former library located at Garris Place, along with initiating minor landscaping works on that site in preparation for future development opportunities for the whole of the Garris Place precinct. Secondly, or number 2, that the Council authorises additional capital budget in 25-26 of $77,000 excluding GST for the purposes of demolition and landscaping. If I can talk to it, please.
Absolutely.
Recently we attended a confidential briefing session where a number of topics were raised. One conclusion I believe that the group agreed on was that while the old library has its virtues, it's no longer fit for purpose in the public domain. I believe this motion more accurately reflects the majority view at the conclusion of that meeting. By removing the old library, it would inform ongoing development opportunities, which may include extending this building for office space and meeting rooms for the public. I believe the next stage of any development needs to be considered thoroughly and with a full understanding of the financial costs and implications. So I seek my fellow councillors' support.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. Councillor Grundy would be seeking a seconder. Councillor Turner, you wish to speak?
Well, look, I think as we said it, well, I said anyway, and I think we concluded that this needs to be staged. We can't do everything, so we can't as a group imagine what the next council and what the current community would envisage for that site in the longer term. So I feel this actually just captures that we want to, if you like, remove the problem that we've got, which is the current building that will have nothing done to it. I think we've all agreed that that to get someone to quote on renovating a building, we won't get any local builders to do that because there's too many problems that could occur. But if we had a clear and clean site, it allows local builders to quote on whatever it is that we decide to build in that complex, but also allows the community and the current and future councils to reimagine what could be done on that site. And I agree with, I think Kelly raised the point that we need to look at this site sort of holistically almost from a satellite view. We've got the current chamber, we've got 2 lots of car parking, and we've got the old library building, and I think we need to look at that as a whole of site and decide what is required, which will come from the community engagement, and we need to do this at minimal cost. And it was suggested that if we were to just mildly landscape it, it's going to be useful and attractive in the short term, and we can go to the community with a clean sheet of paper, if you like, that collectively we can reimagine what can be done with the site. So I think this simplifies it rather than locks in. I guess I don't want the community to think we're knocking down a building to build another building and locks them into that thought process. We're knocking down a building to create an opportunity to reimagine what can be done in that space.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Maguire.
2 questions to you, Mayor. Can you just point out, I'm trying to read what's different to the amendment to the original motion. What's the actual...
So this one is 2 paragraphs.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Mayor. That's wonderful. Could I maybe ask the CEO? Might get a better response.
So yes, of course, and it doesn't include around what it might be. I know Councillor Ross wished to go on with community engagement. So I think the first the motion by Councillor Grundy captures what needs to be done in the first instant, and then what follows from that will follow from that.
Okay. I don't have an issue with just a statement. It was the first time I walked out of a meeting where I thought we were all on the same page, and it was a really good meeting to come out of. You've always put me down for bringing motions without notice or stop me from doing it. And I just guess I'm blindsided by this amendment because I actually thought as a council we could have moved through the community with that motion that we'd all had the chance to read. So an amendment to me just defeats the purpose of the teamwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all. Yes.
Through you, Mayor, I think the sticking point here is around that community engagement taking place that points people towards a community hub, because potentially there may be something else that comes out of engagement or discussions with the community. So I think the intent of Councillor Grundy's motion is to do a stage 1, and then if there's a piece of community engagement that happens down the track, then we're not necessarily saying, tell us what you want for a community hub, but we're opening it up for some other ideas about the whole precinct. So I think...
I'm not debating his motion, I'm just simply saying it would have been nice as an elected body that we actually concluded that at the end of the confidential report rather than be blindsided at a meeting, but that's just my thoughts.
I have to make the point also, sorry, that it was a confidential briefing, it was not a meeting, so there were no decisions made, it was a discussion.
With some decisions and discussion.
The point is that a recommendation comes to the chamber from, in this particular case, from Kelly, and it's not a motion per se. It's and members, as we have done in the past, we have changed recommendations from the administration many times before. So that is fine. I had Councillor Crosling.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that obviously I have spoken at length regarding the need for a community hub, but Councillor Turner just used the word reimagine, and I totally agree with our steps we're going through of knocking it down and doing some minor landscaping, but I have no issue with going to the community and doing some sort of engagement. If it doesn't have to be so worded around community hub, because some people seem to be, put off by that, I think there's no issue with actually saying the next step after that is to go out to the community and do some sort of engagement which forms where we go next.
Councillor Ross.
I'm going to put a slightly different spin on it. So, I'm happy that we're finally progressing in making a decision on the old library building. However, I'm concerned that before we seek community feedback, we are choosing to demolish the current building to provide a clean, and in quote here, a clean canvas for the community to better understand the area and scope of the potential new greenfield site. I understand the thought process of a clean site, but I wonder, is it absolutely necessary? What if the community only has an appetite for a limited spend on the project, because they want to see other projects occurring in the communities. And I'll just use one example, and it's not saying this is what it is, but the upgrade of the sports centre. What happens if a concept of a new build comes in at a cost that the elected members balk at, as we've seen in our previous master plan decisions that we've done? Are we then left with an empty site and remove the opportunity for potential renovating? The concept of cost potentially renovating the existing site came in at 1.7 based on what the report was in. And that was through quantitative surveying estimates. This figure is only a book figure, and it's a book estimate, and it does include project costs, management costs that are generally approximately 23 to 24% of the project cost. To reduce project costs, we do have the ability to project manage in-house on certain situations. And I acknowledge that staff still need to do their own jobs, but I'm sure there's ways and means that we can manage workloads of our staff. And it could be seconding, it could be a number of different things we could do. I'm more than happy to accept the demolition outcome if the community wants it, but I don't believe we know what the community want at this point in time. One possible quick way, and we can thank Councillor Crosling for this, is to find out is ask a question in a council Facebook page or website, similar to what Councillor Crosling did with the petitions on the barrels. It could be a simple yes or no about demolishing the building. We could be very, whether you need to have a building, whether you need to understand you need to have a clean site to visualise something, or whether you can still have the building and still visualise. We could then use those results for future community consultation. Pausing the demo won't cost too much time to a greenfield project to be of any concern. Demolition can't be a reason for just ticking a box of achievements to justify effectiveness of an elected term. Unless there's an appetite within the chamber to amend the motion to pause the demolition, I'll be voting against the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Dennis?
I wasn't privy to the confidential briefing, but I think this is an issue that we've kicked around for many years since I've been on council, and the former library site at De Garris Place has stood vacant for nearly a decade. It is no longer fit for purpose, and continuing to delay action only adds to maintenance costs and community frustration. I think by adopting this motion, even though it's modified, and I've heard from our CEO that there will be community engagement in the future, and from this elected body, I believe there's an overwhelming appetite for that as well. Demolishing the building allows us to clean up the site, create a usable interim space for the community, and start meaningful engagement toward a vibrant new precinct. This is not just removing an old building, it's about unlocking the new potential for the heart of our town. I strongly support the recommendation. As I said, I fully believe this chamber will engage with the community on a one-on-one basis and in a formal way in the future with its development, and I urge you to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Councillor Crosling?
Good.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that is an apology. Councillor Goodman.
I note that this already has a mover and a seconder, so maybe I'm too late, but a question through to Councillor Grundy. Would you consider adding a third step, which is that a strategy is developed to engage with the community to consult on the potential use of the old library? So that would be something that I would imagine the strategy would come back for endorsement at the chamber before going out. But it would keep the process moving and enable us to think about what that engagement would look like.
I think I'm reasonably certain, Councillor Goodman, that demolishing the old library site will have the community wishing to be engaged about the future prospects, for the precinct as such. And, as it has been suggested by Councillor Grundy and also by Kelly, that, we stage this over a period of time and develop.
I accept that, and of course, but I think that we are all keen to see this continue to progress, and by having that as an outcome of tonight's meeting would ensure that means that this project will continue to move along, and I think it also provides direction to the community about our intentions.
Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Look, I think what I've put there really Probably concludes my thoughts and the wishes. I think that the majority of the confidential briefing where we walked away from, that's what I think the majority of people thought. I think that by default this will keep progressing, and I think I'm right in saying that this would come up in the AMPs in August, in the August discussions. So I tend to think that by default this will remain on the table.
That was a question asked of you, Councillor Grundy. The question was, would you consider adding some notion of community engagement within your motion?
Well, I think that will happen by default. So to change the motion, I don't really wish to change the motion at this point. No, but I'm sure that will happen by default. So, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Grundy. Any further questions? Being none. Beg your pardon?
Closed it.
Yeah, that's a question.
I thought you closed it. Something.
Any further questions? There being
Sorry.
I put the motion that the Council authorises the CEO to undertake the demolition of the former library located at DeGarris Place, along with initiating minor landscaping works on the site in preparation for future development opportunities for the whole of the DeGarris Place precinct, and that Council authorise additional capital budget within the 25-6 year of $77,000 excluding GST for the purpose of demolition and landscaping. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Waste fees and charges. Mr Wilsman.
Thank you. I've just brought this back to the chamber. So members recently endorsed the annual fees and charges guide, which included adjustments to charges charged at the waste transfer station. There was just a comment within one of the tables against a description about a minimum charge for asbestos, so that didn't get increased along with the per tonne increase. So brought this back, requesting a change from minimum charge of $45 to $50, subject to endorsement. The annual fees and charges document will be updated.
Councillor Turner moves 10% increase in that charge. Seconded, Councillor Ross. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Reports for information. If there are any questions, I'm sure Mr Wilsmore would be happy to answer them. And we've got tree planting coming up in the next month.
Yes, we've started some tree planting and some are on order, so once they come in, they'll be programmed and installed.
It'll be incredibly important this year to make sure they can continue to be watered. It's incredibly dry last summer, and to have this investment in beautification, we need to make sure that we invest in it in the long term. 14.2, planning and compliance.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. No further updates to the report. Happy to take questions.
Thank you very much. Mrs Collins on 14.3. Mrs Collins.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. I've got a recommendation, excuse me, in my report this month, which relates to an extension of the Memorandum of Understanding between Council and Preventive Health for a further 2 years. It's already been in place for the last 2. It really is, it involves no direct funding from Council. It simply recognises that we are both on the same page as in Council and Preventive Health to deliver better outcomes for health and wellbeing in our community. So I just ask you to give the go-ahead for that to be signed, and we can continue doing what we do in that space.
Thank you, Mrs
Thank
Collins.
you.
Councillor Crosling, moved. Councillor Ross, second. Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Publications, item 15, nothing of note. Questions on notice, item 16. A question from Councillor Grundy. Councillor Grundy.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. Look, it would appear from my question and the answer that Kelly was kind enough to include as a late entry into the agenda that Mr McBride's assertion has been incorrect, and it's likely that I'll probably look to progress this matter by way of a motion with notice at the next meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Grundy. 17, we've dealt with the motion from Councillor Crosling. 18 is questions without notice. There aren't any. Thank you. 19, motions without notice. Thank you very much. And if item 20 are items that the Chief Executive would like to have in confidence. Would someone like to move that item 20.1 go into confidence? Councillor Goodman, a seconder please. Councillor Rayner, all those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much, and the public meeting is now closed.